What's going on, Ambitious Vets? Welcome to episode number 5 of The Ambitious Vet with Army combat veteran turned best-selling author and one of the most sought-after veteran influencer speakers on the planet today, Kuhn. Welcome to The Ambitious Vet. My name is Chris Hoffman, former Marine combat veteran turned passion-driven entrepreneur. We are here to dig into the trenches with today's top-performing military veterans that were once warrior-made but are now passion-driven. They're here to share their stories, their blueprints to hopefully unlock your secret formula to living a more meaningful, fulfilling, and top-performing civilian life. What's going on, Ambitious Vets? Now, are you guys vets out there that are just seeking more out of the uniform? Or maybe you're just a veteran that doesn't want to lean on the government benefits that are out there. Also, you may just even be like me kind of when I got out of the uniform, that I just was seeking the secret formula. I was seeking the support, I was seeking new insights and new resources on how do I live that top performing civilian life. Well, guys, don't look any further, okay? We have a Facebook group out there called the Veteran Empowerment Transition Group on Facebook. Literally has hundreds of veterans out there that are just ambitious, seeking more, looking at how can they get 1% better every single day, not victimizing themselves and not leaning on the veteran card. No, they're actually using the veteran card to increase their life, using their skills, their standards that they developed and however many years they served, and they're utilizing it to monetize. They're using it to 10x their life out of the uniform, guys. And you're also going to get access to all the guests that have been on this show within that group. They're all going to be added into the group after the show if they're not already in there. And most importantly, guys, everyone inside that group has one end goal in mind. And that is, united we rise, together we succeed. We're all seeking on how do we live a more fulfilling and passion-driven life out of the uniform. So if you guys have not made it there already, get your butts over there, and I will see you there. All right, so before we go ahead and dive into the trenches with today's guest, I'm going to let you guys know, just like last episode, that these are pre-recorded Facebook Live interviews with inside of Veteran Empowerment Transition Tribe on Facebook. All we want is feedback. If you guys do like the authentic interview live interaction with our audience inside that tribe, let us know. If you don't like it, let us know. At the end of the day, we're 5 episodes in and we are growing very quickly. In fact, we have over 400 downloads now, around 10 really good rates and reviews on iTunes and Stitcher. And it really is because this is our podcast. Right? Ambitious Vets, this is our podcast. This is what we're all coming together as veterans that are just desiring more, going after what we really want out of the uniform and hearing stories and blueprints from people that have come before us that have made it out of the uniform, guys. So if you guys don't like what's going on in here, just let us know. Give us some feedback. We want this podcast, we want this audio that's going into those ears and ultimately into that brain socket to be the information, the sound that you want that's going to inspire you to be in action out there, okay? So give us some feedback. And we definitely appreciate it. So without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and introduce Kuhn. All right. Now, he's actually hails from Pennsylvania, USA. He's served in the U.S. Army from 1986 to 1993 in Germany. He's done one tour with Task Force 48 Cavalry as a sergeant in Iraq during Operation Desert Storm. Now, upon discharge from the Army, Stephen continued to live in Europe, where he later became a best-selling author, multi-country business development manager, political consultant, and completed his MBA at the prestigious Bradford University School of Business Management in Leeds, UK. Now, Stephen has an astute business mind, tailored to the ins and outs of building and operating and turning around and growing businesses successfully. Having accomplished this now in over 9 different countries in various industries, Steve has gained a reputation of no nonsense and telling it like it is, which you'll see here inside the interview. Now, he attributes his success to his military background and training, where he learned the importance of a solid structure, the right people, and perfected the procedures and systems needed out of the uniform. Now, Stephen is now by far one of the most sought after veteran speakers in the world, guys. So let's go ahead and dive into the trenches and learn from Stephen.
Stephen, man, are you ready to drop some golden grenades?
I am ready. Let's do this.
Welcome, brother. Welcome. So, brother, let's just dive right in, man. Tell us a little bit about your transition story out of the Army, my friend.
Oh, it wasn't easy. I actually didn't really want to leave the Army, and I took an early out. The bonuses back in the early '90s, they were paying people to get out, if you can believe it. And I decided it was time to get out. I didn't want to get out, but I knew that to grow as a human being, as a person, to be more than I could be, if I want to put it that way, I knew I had to transform myself, and that was the only way to do that, was to get out and move on into the cold water. So I got out, literally walked off base in my greens, and I was a civilian. And I turned around and I couldn't go back on base. It was so strange for me. But yeah, and so I sort of like walked around a little bit in Berlin, and went to the pub, Irish pub, in my uniform, and sort of celebrated with some friends and said, that's it, it's over. And the next day I started looking for a job. So in a country where I didn't speak the language that well. And what do you do when you first start? Is bodyguard, doorman, security, that kind of stuff.
Right.
So I got very lucky, and I landed I got the doorman job at the Hard Rock Cafe that had just opened up in Berlin. And I had a techno club as a part of an owner of a techno club, which is where techno music started in Berlin. So all the people like Wes Bam and DJ Tomek and all these techno club disco, or these techno DJs, they were our house DJs. So I got into all kinds of trouble. Underworld. I didn't know who was the mafia and who was just some guy trying to get in, and I just that kind of stuff. So I got in all kinds of trouble, and I ended up making allies or friends out of all the bad guys, because I understood where they were coming from. They were struggling just like I was. So I ended up having quite an interesting first few years in Germany, until I got my footing and decided to get my head out of my rear and make something out of it. And that's what I did. Yeah, that's what I did.
Nice. It sounds like you got a good legs underneath you, and then from there you just kind of start building off of that. So I want to ask you, man, what was your most deepest desire? What was your end result that you were trying to achieve whenever you got out of the uniform? What were you desiring the most?
I have to say, the one thing that I always wanted to do was open my own cocktail bar. Okay. So, I was like, I want to be Tom Cruise, that flipping that kind of stuff, right?
Yeah.
So I got out in '93 January, and I opened my bar in September 1996. So 3 years later, wow. I actually opened my first bar, and I spent 220,000 euro or D-marks on it, which is, I don't know what that probably, I don't even know anymore how many dollars that is. But I spent all my money on it, and took out loans and borrowed money and everything. And it was a 40 square meter, which is like a 500 square foot bar. It sat like 18 people, completely upside down. You don't invest 220,000 in a bar like that.
Right.
But I ended up making it so successful that I opened up two more. And then I turned into a bar consultant. I started opening up bars and clubs for people, which was really strange. So then I had a disco, a nightclub, and I got into that life again.
Yeah.
Nightlife, not also mafia. So it's like, hey guys, how you doing? I see you again. So
it's a whole new profound brotherhood.
You can say that again. I'll tell you what. Talk about loyalty. My God, it's sort of a scary loyalty, but yeah, you're right. And my passion was actually to bring an experience to a culture. See, I think one of the things that I always noticed is that, how do I make myself special? How do I make myself stick out at where I am? When I was in the military, I decided I'm going to speak German so I could be the guy that sits on the border and listens to the East Germans, and not the guy who walks 100K a day, right? And I also wanted to be the translator for all the hand workers and stuff, because I wanted to learn about the culture. So that always made me different. Then I got out, so I was the American that could actually speak a little bit of German. And I always tried to find a way to make myself special. And, I would use my veteran status or my military status when it came in handy overseas, because obviously a lot of people aren't big fans of us, overseas,
right?
At least not now. They used to be back in the 80s and 90s. If there's a tip that I could give to anybody, it's always find a way to make yourself original. And being a veteran is not being original. Okay, being a veteran is like icing. Being a veteran is like, having a little extra bonus. It's not everything. And as you see, especially when you're immersed in this veteran community, there's so many veterans out there that are banking on that. And what you do is you attract other veterans and those who like veterans, but you're competing for the same customers usually. So you got to be careful how you market yourself. Like I have an edge of military. They call me the general or they call me the captain or whatever when I do my business meetings and stuff, because I'm sort of direct and straight. But that's about it. That's about as far as I go.
Right. That's awesome. Yeah. Thanks for all those golden grenades, brother. And I think the biggest one you just dropped there is be original. Like whenever we're serving in the uniform, we're trained to be uniform. Like we got to fit into the man to left and right. If we stand out, we die. We get killed off, whatever it may be. So getting out of the uniform, that's totally shifting a paradigm on like, how do I become special? How to become uniform? And I really like your story of just like leveraging your strengths right whenever you got out, became a doorman. I was the same thing. I was a nightclub security guard for the first 2 years. Get out. You know what I mean? Because that's what Marines do. We leverage our strengths and we learn to make money at it. We adapt and overcome, right?
Right.
We forget who we are when we first get out of the uniform. And for you to master that life, and then from there, create, how do I monetize this? How do I leverage it? All of that. Your mindset is brilliant, brother. And thank you for those golden grenades, man.
Well, thank you. Now, when I think about, being authentic or being, original, it's actually very simple, but it's very difficult because we're trained not to listen to our intuition. We're trained to overthink everything, especially in the military. You're trained to be that one person. And I have to say, probably the hardest job, and it's probably good for you as well that you went into the doorman business, because that was a jump in cold water. Why? Because you're standing at the door with your experience behind you. You've been in Iraq. You have, I have a Bronze Star, and you could see on my uniform, I was in combat. I had a Bronze Star, how long I was in, what awards I had, what company I was in. So no one ever challenged who you were because they saw. Suddenly you're a civilian, you're standing at a door, and this 14-year-old kid says, "Hey, loser, get a real job." Yeah, exactly. And you're just like, and you're just like, oh, so. That was honestly the biggest challenge. And I took that on. I said, you know what? I have to prove in another way that I'm worthy. So, and it was funny because years later, when I was 40, like 10, 15 years later, when I had a big crash, the mortgage crash and everything, I had a mortgage bank with my brother in the States, and it crashed, and I was out of a job. I had no money, and I ended up going back to the club as a doorman again, but actually as a sort of a presenter. So I was wearing a suit and tie. And I loved it. And I loved it. People were like, "Steve, what are you doing? What are you doing?" Because I already had my MBA. I was a best-selling author. And there I was standing at a door. And I said, I love it. I love it. So I stood behind myself and I was like, I'm doing this because I have to, but I'm not ashamed. And that, I think that was the big change for me because I wasn't trying to be anybody anymore. And since that time, it just really took off.
Wow. Well, I got a lot from what you just said, man. Doing what you had to do, even being a best-selling author, doing an MBA. I think when I think of vet training coaching and what we're doing over here on our end of things, what makes us polarizing is staying against the guys that get out and conform to the GI Bill, disability, the VA benefits and stuff like that. And being someone like you that got out and you just did what you had to do to get to where you wanted to be is really impressive, very enlightening. And I think a lot of guys and gals that get out of the uniform don't really focus on the aspect of doing what they need to do to achieve what they want. But a lot of people don't even know what they're wanting to achieve when they get out.
Well, or know what they want. I didn't know what I wanted. I just knew as a person I had to grow, and to grow as a person I needed as much experience in as many areas as possible. So I literally had 3 jobs at one time. I remember I got up in the morning at 4:00, went to the airport. I stood on the tarmac guarding airplanes, like someone's going to steal an airplane. And then I would do that for 4 hours, and I would go back home, sleep for 2 hours, and I would sell insurance with my horrible German between 12 and 6 in the afternoon. Then I'd go home, take a sleep, and then from 8 o'clock at night until 2 o'clock in the morning, I was a doorman. And that's how I did it. And what I did this whole time, I knew one thing, Chris. I knew one thing.
Yeah.
Every single person that I meet is a potential client, friend, business partner, something in the future. So whatever I do, I need to treat them all with respect, and I need to show them that I am the man that they can come to when they need something. And honestly, if I can pitch this, they're my core morals are honesty, integrity, and transparency. And when I tried to be authentic, listening to myself and trying to show somebody you're authentic, it's hard to show somebody you're authentic because when you're authentic, you don't show anything. You just are, right? And that being is actually your morals. So when I hold on my morals, honesty, integrity, and transparency, that makes me authentic. And that authenticity dictates my market value because I need say nothing. They know exactly, okay, go to Steve. What he says, it's golden. Boom. That's it. So I don't need to act. I don't need to try to be authentic because I am, if you know what I mean.
Yeah. Yeah. It's your values that drive your behavior. And that's when I feel like when you have a good set of identity of who your core values are, what shapes your daily behaviors, people identify you as that. Really
exactly.
awesome.
But it's also honesty, integrity, and transparency with yourself. Let's not kid ourselves. Yeah. Because if I'm lying to myself, how can I be honest to other people? If I'm not transparent with myself, with what I'm doing, like if I say, I know I shouldn't do this business deal because it's probably, gray areas there, but I'm going to do it because I need the money.
Right.
Well, that's how people are going to see you. They're going to see you like that. That guy's happy you're doing his business for him, but still he's going to see you. Oh, that he does shady things. So I always keep it on the up and up, and I don't compromise for anything.
Yep. Yeah, 100%, brother. I mean, one of my number one core values is integrity. I think if you can either honor your word, be your word to each and every single person in your life, you build trust and credibility long term. If you're consistent with your word, your integrity, be honest, be true to who you are. Don't try to be who you're not. I think long term consistency, the compound effect takes full toll, and you build consistency and trust with everyone around you. I mean, if you would have told me 20 shows in, I would have had Stephen Kuhn on the Ambitious Vet. I would have been like, hell no. You know what I mean? But
be surprised.
it's a prime example, brother, that consistency brings value, and you're extremely valuable, brother.
Thank you very much. Yeah. And another thing that brings value is not being scared to approach those people you think that are unreachable. You'd be very surprised how many people answer me and spoke to. Look, I consult with a party head of the German Parliament, in the German Parliament. I consult a European Parliament member as well. And I saw them on a boat, and I said, hey, I see you're sitting alone. Why don't you come over and have a drink with us? And that's how it started. It wasn't like, I'm in a business meeting and how you doing, Stephen Kuhn. It wasn't that at all. It's always that social aspect where you show you're an actual human being that draws people to you. And that authenticity, of course, is, that basis that counts for everything. So putting yourself out there and I worked for Olivia Newton-John. I worked for Andrea Bocelli. I worked for Mick Jagger. I mean, I worked for people, and they didn't look for me. I looked for them. I went and I made it happen. And I made it happen because, you know what? They're just like me. I can walk up to them. I know he's got troubles just like I do. I know he's got worries just like I do. I'm not going to kiss his butt. You have to be at eye level with everyone, whether it's the cleaning lady or, Jesus. It's one level. And that's as simple as that. You have to be at their level. And this is how literally I can walk up to presidents and prime ministers, which I do, and just say, hey, how you doing? How you doing? Yeah. And it works. It works every time.
Yeah. I was listening to a previous interview of you, and you were telling a story about Bill Clinton and how you approached him and how you actually deal with influencers. And I think it's pretty impressive. You wanted to share that with the audience. I think that'd be great too, as far as like a lot of guys that are getting out that don't feel like they're on the level of an influencer or approaching, guys that are getting out, networking on LinkedIn, that are trying to tap in to experts in their field, but have that authority complex or whatever. How are you approaching influencers, man? To create
without expectation. Sure. Without expectation. I never approach, and no one should actually approach anyone with an intention like, I'm going to sell this guy something, or I need this guy for something. Unless you're going to ask straight out, hey, I need you for this. Would you be willing to do it? I wouldn't suggest that because that's cold. No one who's this guy, So when I approach influencers in person, and I would call, Bill Clinton, Kofi Annan, probably pretty good influencers. I go to them and I use both the first and last name. So if I go up to them and I say, hello, Mr. Clinton, I'm down here. If I say, hey, Bill, he's like, who's this dude? I don't know you, right? But if I say, hello, Bill Clinton, it's so out of the ordinary for someone to use the whole name, not Mr. Bill Clinton, just Bill Clinton. It's so out of the ordinary for someone to use their full name. They go, hey, how you doing? They think, okay, this guy must know me, and they're just completely their guards down. They're easy. They're going, Sharon Stone, we had a gala 2 years ago in Italy with Andrea Bocelli, and Sharon Stone was there. And I looked in the audience, and there was a guy with awards on his lapel, and it was the ex-CEO of AU Association of the United States Army and my general from the Gulf War. I was like, wow, what are you doing here? What? And he's like, oh, I bought tickets. I'm like, oh my God, what? That's crazy. So he goes, I want a ticket with Sharon Stone, or a picture with Sharon Stone. I said, 1 minute. And it was packed. It was packed. I was like, Mrs. Stone, Mrs. Stone, Mrs. Stone. I said, hey, Sharon Stone, over here, general, picture now. And she's like, oh, okay. Walked over and took a picture. Done. You know?
Yeah.
So and it was like a little bit of authority, and you have to fit yourself to each situation. And she was completely cool with it. You know? Yeah. So you gotta adapt, like you said, improvise, adapt, and overcome. Every situation is different. You got to roll in there. You got to make it happen. If he's in a meeting and he's talking to somebody, and you walk up, hey, Bill Clinton, you're an idiot because you're interrupting him. Right? So don't interrupt. Right. You know, take the time.
Right. So
yeah, I could go on forever about that, because that's, you know, I don't say this very much, but I don't know if I should say it. Okay, well, I have friends that are German royalty, so, you know, like the royal stuff. And I was with one of the German Kaiser's great granddaughter, one of the princesses of Prussia, and one of the duchesses of Oldenburg. Wow. And that brought me into a whole nother level. And I remember going to the first ball where we had to open the ball with the waltz, and I'm wearing coattails. I'm like, what? You know, do I wear my awards? What do I do? You know, and so we're at this ball in Paris, the Bal de Paris, and I'm on the floor. And I said, you know what? I'm just like them. They're just like me. And I'll tell you what, to this day, they look at me like, that guy, you know, he fit right in, and he's like, they come to me for answers. And I'm thinking, like, man, if they only knew I was this like dirty down, trench shoulder soldier guy, you know, thinking back in those days. Yeah. Now I'm like, yeah, I'm a dirty down trench soldier guy, and that's why they like me, because I'm authentic.
Right.
Back to that same thing again. Everything you do boils down to the morals and authenticity.
100%. Yeah, and just owning that, because they at some point they were at some point where they were, right? And that's awesome. That's awesome. Exactly. And I feel like you being an honest communicator allows people to be honest around you as well. You're straight up and direct. You attract who you are or who you're not, right?
Oh, I expect that too. I mean, I if I know someone's BSing me, I'll tell them, hey, you're BSing me.
Yeah.
You know, let's not go down that road. You know, let's not go down that road. You know, and then it makes for interesting business partners too. I mean, I have a business partner right now who's phenomenal. I mean, just absolutely phenomenal. She's 25 years old. She lives in Holland, and I've never met her. Never seen her live. I've seen one picture of her. And we've closed more deals together in the last 2 months than I've closed with any other business partner ever. Mm. And she's just amazing. And, you know, and it's because that open, honest trust that we have with each other, no holds barred, right? Obviously, we have respect for each other. That trust is so there. We just signed a contract with each other, pop, and we're done. Mm. And it's just, and we're just branching out. It's incredible. Yeah. It's all based on integrity. You know, you not only exude who you are, but you reflect who you are. So people see that, and they see something in you that they like, that they can, if they're an integral person as well, and they see that in you and they reflect, they're going to connect.
Hmm. Yeah, 100%. There's so much more I could ask you in that. And I think I may just touch offline around how do you create boundaries with people? Because I'm at that point where, you know, I'm not nowhere near Stephen Kuhn's level of influence, but I'm getting at a point where I have people reach out, stuff like that, and setting boundaries with people. But I can touch offline on that. I really want to dig into a little bit more content on how you pretty much created fulfillment, purpose, outside the uniform. How did you? I know you got out. You were a doorman. You did security. You made things happen. But how did you start finding your purpose and start feeling that fulfillment out of the uniform?
Man, it was a battle. It really was. It was a hard battle. What I ended up doing was setting up short-term goals. So I would set short-term goals, 6 months, 8 months, a year, and say, this is what I'm going to do until I figure it out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
20 years later, I figured it out. But in those 20 years, I gathered so much experience that I can basically, I don't want to like talk trash, but I can print money basically. So if I need money, I know what I need to do to make it. It's just that I'm not, my mind and my soul isn't focused on money. So I'm not a constant money machine. I have a family. I've been home for 3 months. I haven't gone anywhere for 3 months. I don't go out. I don't go to work. I do everything from here if I have to. right? I have an office in Berlin, haven't been there in 3 months because I want to be with my family.
Right.
And I can do that. If I go to Berlin, I'll make more money, but I don't want to go to Berlin right now. So that's the purpose that I sort of drove. It's a hard question, Chris. I got to tell you, I searched a long time for my purpose, and I have to tell you, when I really found it is when I crashed and burned in 2007, homeless and all that kind of stuff. Because after that, I went to a monastery in the Austrian mountains and stayed there for a good long time. And that's where I really found out who I was and what I was about. And that's where I shed all of the BS of expectations of other people, of what they wanted from me, of why I'm trying to please them. And who are you anyway? You're not going to help me. You're not going to help me, So I ended up being who I am because of what I went through. So, purpose is one thing, but experience, you can't buy experience. You can't fake experience. You can't, learn experience. You have to have it. So I always say, throw yourself into things where you're completely uncomfortable. I mean, if I'm not uncomfortable doing a task or a job, then I know I'm not going to be good at it because I'm bored already.
Right.
So my first bar job, exactly. My first bar job, the guy's like, oh, can you be the bar manager? I'm like, sure. He goes, you ever attended bar? I'm like, of course I have. Never did, but I went home and learned it. And I ended up, that's why I opened my own cocktail bar, because I learned there, and boom, I went to mine and opened mine up.
Sounds like you chased opportunity first time you got out. You followed your intuition, and you just maximized the opportunity that came your way.
And I didn't know what my intuition was back then, and it's funny because we unlearn that, children have the intuition, we unlearn it. And now that's the only thing I do is my intuition. There's so many things that I could pursue that would make me massive money, or that I could be, get more famous, or whatever you want to call it. I just don't do it because my intuition is like, nah, not today, man. All right, good. All
right, yeah. Maybe tomorrow.
Yeah.
Something like that. Cool, man. So, I mean, I know you touched on it a little bit, but let's dive into like the biggest failure. What was your downfall? We all hit a breaking point when we get out of the uniform. Mine was 2013. Whenever I was transitioning out of my second failed startup, and I was in between, joined a network marketing company, and was living in an apartment that I could barely afford here in San Diego, living off black beans, sleeping on a wrestling mat, had a school desk to my name. It was bad, man. It was bad. And
sounds like someone I want to hang out with, man.
Right.
Yeah.
So, I mean, but there's no testimonial without a test, man. Right. Oh. And like you said, through experience, man, brings wisdom. So I want to ask you, what was your biggest failure, and what did you learn from it when you got out of the uniform?
It's difficult for me to talk about failures because because it's all part of nothing ends for me.
Yeah.
Right. It's always part of a process. So if something doesn't work out, then I know, okay, I'm in deep trouble. I need to fix something, but I don't go, oh man, I'm done. I've never had that. For some reason, it's like maybe I have some kind of missing chromosome or something, but I never see something as the end, or it's over, or it's done, or I can't do it. It just doesn't happen. So when first of all, I don't have a trade, right? I'm a soldier. I was a grunt. I was a tanker, right? And then I got out and I got, my degrees and stuff like that, which doesn't mean jack, anyway. So I don't have a trade. So I can't fall back on something and say, I'll be a dentist or something. I can't, I'm a sales guy. I'm a consultant. I'm this kind of guy, that kind of stuff. So I never really had a real job. So I had to make my own jobs. I had to make my own things. So I had companies, I had cocktail bars and clubs and all that kind of stuff. And then I stopped that, and I actually took a job with a company called Star Trek, but the fitness company, Star Trek. And I set up their, in conjunction with my MBA project, I set up their European entity. So I did Germany, Austria, and brought the corporate headquarters over here from Irvine, California, and did all that kind of stuff. And right as that was taking off, my brother and I had this mortgage bank in America. He did all the work. A mortgage bank, charter, Flagstar Bank. And we made so much money, we started, one of our clients said, hey, have you ever financed a film? And we're like, no, what do you do there? And he said, well, you're a producer. We're like, oh, we can do that. So we literally produced a film. And it was so much fun. And because my brother and I are twins, we ended up trying to make a business out of it. We dressed the same haircut, same everything, and then went to all these mixers in Hollywood and New York. And I was in the States every 2 weeks. And we were doing a lot of films, Lawrence Bender, Tarantino, all these guys, and working on them. And then the mortgage crash, lost everything, like literally overnight, like overnight. So luckily I wasn't stretched too thin, but I had no income. because I wasn't doing anything except for that. My brother, on the other hand, he had a few million loss and big trouble. Anyway, so I struggled for a bit, and I was homeless. So I rented my apartment out because I couldn't afford it, and I was allowed to sleep on the sofa on weekends. So on my own sofa on the weekends, I could sleep. And other than that, during the week, I was in my car. I had a smart car, if you know what a smart car is. Because I had a BMW, I had to sell it. And I sold the BMW and got the smart car, which is like a shoebox. Right? So I slept in that or at friends' houses. And I lived on 11, I'll never forget, 11 euros a week. And I bought a big stack of bread and the welfare cheese. And they have it in Germany too. And wow. I lived on that, a slice of bread and a piece of cheese, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. That was all I had. And then just water. And that's when I hit rock bottom. And that's when let's say the thoughts of ending it all came back, and it wasn't because of, I was married at the time too. And I had just gotten divorced at the same time. So we separated at that same time. Everything fell apart. So I lost money, lost the career that I was in, lost my wife, everything. And so it wasn't that I was ending, a career or something. I didn't give a shit about the career, excuse my French. But it was like my whole world ended. Like it came to an end sort of. And it's like, okay, I know I have to start over, but I can't deal with this right now. First thing I did was I shed any expectation that I was going to pay anybody anything at all. So all the debt that I had, I just called them and said, I can't pay you. Arrest me, whatever you want to do. I don't care. I can't pay you. And you'd be surprised what happened. They're like, okay. pay us $5 a month forever. I'm like, okay. So that's what I did. And then I called my friend Michael in Austria, and I said, dude, if you don't do something, I'm not going to be here much longer. And he literally sent me an e-ticket that day to go to Austria and dumped me off in this monastery and said, I'll pick you up when you're done. That was it. And that's how I overcame that. And, it was rebirth, complete rebirth for me. And that's when I came out, I basically did not much for about another year and a half and just sort of was for a while. And then I took on another turnaround job here in Budapest. And the first they called me, they said, hey, could you come back and work? Because I had worked for them on and off for 15 years and I do turnarounds in startups. And so I founded like 35 of their new locations and turned around like 10 of them or 15 of them or 20 of them. I don't even know. And they said, we got something in Budapest. I'm like, nah, I'm not going to work for you guys again. I'm done with the corporate world. And they said, we really need you there. It's only a 3-month contract. I said, why not? Because I heard that Budapest was incredible. So the first day ever in Budapest, the first day in the business, the first person I see is the woman I'm married to right now.
Wow. Oh, man. Yeah. Automatic, hey, I'm in the right place.
Yeah. That was 9 years ago.
Wow.
Yeah. So I literally walked out of my old life, went through this process in the monastery, came to Budapest and met my new life. And that was it from there. And I've done, it's been struggles since then because I've traveled 4 days a week since then until the last 3 months. I've traveled 4 days every single week to different countries, working on different contracts.
Wow.
So yeah, it was a tough ride, but I literally can stand here and say, bring it on. I can deal with it. Whatever it is. Yeah.
From just knowing you from a distance, we're both part of, Warrior Council, Vetrepreneur Tribe. We're part of a lot of different groups together. One thing that I'm totally clear who Stephen Kuhn is for the world is you're just a problem solver, man.
Yeah.
You go in, you find problems and you solve them quick, man. And that's awesome. And just thanks for who you are for the world, man. That's really impressive. So, a couple more questions, man, and we'll let you go, get back to your family. I know that, it's going to be New Year's soon and stuff like that. But anyways, brother, we're getting tons of engagement too, and I'll give some call outs real soon. But I want to ask you, man, a lot of people struggle to get traction and create that accountability that they had while they were in the uniform when they're out. How did you start? Like, if you could give them 2 golden grenades on how do you create traction out of the uniform, right? Or even the guys that are watching that are just starting startups, like myself, they're 7 months into a startup or whatever, they're ambitious vets. What would be like 2, 3, 1 golden grenade that you could drop right now to help them create traction in their business, their passion, their lives out of the uniform right now, man?
Well, keep it simple. Honestly, God, keep it simple. If there's only a few things you can do in a business to make money. There's only 3 ways to actually grow the revenue in a business. And, I always say spend as little as possible to make as much as possible. If you're sitting there, I need a loan to do that, then you're wrong. You don't need a loan. You need to make something happen out of what you have. You don't want to sink into debt because that's going to pull you this direction. You won't be able to focus on what you're trying to build. That's number one. Number two, right now, the ability to make money online passively is ridiculous. It's ridiculous. And I'll tell you what, everybody has a skill that they can put online and sell classes. Everybody has a skill. I don't care what it is. You can sell ebooks, make it $5. Look, I made an ebook, 3 or 4 years ago on nutrition. It's called How Europeans Eat What They Wish and Still Stay Thin and Healthy. Right? Yeah, ridiculous. It's an international bestseller on what's it called? Audible or no, what's that? I forget, whatever, that book reading thing,
right.
Tablet. Anyway, yep. Kindle. And but I sold it first as an ebook. And I put it out there, did some ads or whatever stuff, and I had some guy help me with it, and I sold, like 500 copies of it at $97 a piece.
Wow. Yeah.
Talk about getting me over the corner. It's getting me over the hill there. So that's, look at how you can passively earn income while you're building your dynasty. But you don't have to build a business. You don't have to build a business. Network marketing is a great place to start, I have to say. I've worked at a few network marketing companies, and I've actually opened 2 of them over here in Europe for Olivia Newton-John. That was her company. Her company was a network marketing company. So right. I opened, her company in 6 countries, and that's a good way to start because you have a low investment, but you have support like you wouldn't have anywhere else. And what you do there is you meet people, right? And then you just grow your network. Number 3, and this is so key, is that everything we do in life has to do with people. I don't care what it is. So if you're an ass, if you have an attitude, you got a chip on your shoulder, you're walking around with a grimace on your face, you better change that. You better change that because people look at you and and within a second, they're going to judge you. If you're approachable and you're someone who think they can help, they'll be there. If you're not, you're going to miss something. And people say it's 100% up to you if you're successful or not. I would say no, because if it's 100% up to you and you're an ass, it's not going to help. It's not going to help. You can be, there's that book that came out that said about this IT guy that became a jerk and made $1 million and stuff. But that wasn't face to face. That was basically behind the backs and all that kind of
stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So, and that's all I got to say is, look, getting traction, it's all relative, first of all. I mean, what do you want? Where's your goals? What's good enough for you? What's not good enough for you? Me, I always want that next challenge, that next thrill, that next, excitement. That's just how I am. Other people, they don't need that, and they don't understand me why I need that. So, when it comes to starting your own career, you don't have to jump into a business. Get a job, get a job, and then start building on the side. You don't have to go full out and be this big business guy. I did gyms for 15 years. 15 years I did gyms. I opened up 35 locations.
Wow.
And that was working for a corporate company. On the side, I had my cocktail bars. I had this, I had that. I did this and that and stuff. But I liked both, so I did both. So don't limit yourself by thinking this is what I'm supposed to do because this is what someone told me to do. You can do whatever you want to do. Do whatever you want to do. Whatever it is. You're crazy. It's amazing. My wife, I met her. She was 21 years old. I was 42. Oh, anyway, she said, I want to work like you. I want to be like you. You sort of don't have to be anywhere. And I said, well, figure something out. And she said, okay, I will. And she did. And now she makes, really good money and doesn't have to do anything. And if she can do it, she's a Hungarian, absolutely beauty, amazing woman. She did it because she saw me as an inspiration, said, if he can do it, I can do it.
Right.
You know what I mean? So it's sometimes it just takes someone to say, you can do it. Let go of all the hassle and all of the complication and just say, what's the easiest way from point A to point B? That's what I'm going to do.
That's good stuff, brother. Thanks for that, man. And first thing that came up to me when you shared that is the 4-minute mile, right? No one thought it was possible until someone broke it, right? As soon as someone broke it, everyone started running a 4-minute mile. Boom.
Well, it's the same thing as when someone asks you, hey, man, have you ever seen a purple 3000 XZ car? And you're like, well, I never even heard of it. The next day you see one. The next day you see another one. 3 days later you see another one. You never would have seen that unless someone said that to you.
Right.
It's the same exact principle. Yep. Suddenly you're aware. So be aware. Look, no one, I have to say this, no one's going to give you anything for free. No one's going to save you from anything. No one's going to save us from global warming or whatever it is that we want to call it. No one's going to save us. We have to do it ourselves.
Right.
And veterans, and I was one, and sometimes I still catch myself. You talk to people and they say, hey man, we'll take care of it. We'll do it together. And then suddenly you're like, oh, okay, good. And you sort of sit back a little bit and you have the expectation the other person is going to help you get there. Don't go that route, man. Do it all. Do it all. No matter if someone's helping you or not, you go full force, full 100%.
No. Love it, brother. Love it. Thank you. So I'm just going to do a couple shout outs, man, because we got some people commenting and all that. Just got to give them a shout out, and then we'll give you an opportunity to share what you're up to, how people can find you and stuff like that. But Donald Dotson, he's part of the Vetrepreneur Tribe. He said, you have to create your own future. Love it. JC Pearson, just retired, 20-year Army veteran, now work as a marketing operations manager at GI Jobs Magazine, helping transitioning veterans. Thank you, JC. Kelly Gillian, this is a huge golden nugget, being authentic and integrity, not being fake, being honest, and using one's intuition. Love it. Lee Mosler, preach. Donald's dropping golden grenades. Man, brother, you blew it up.
Well, thank you. Thank you. I actually went to high school with Donald Dotson, believe it or not. We met in the Vetrepreneur Tribe. I didn't even know, after high school I didn't see him, and I met him again for the first time after 30 years about 2 months ago.
Wow.
In the Vetrepreneur Tribe.
It was the right time, man. It was. Perfect. Hey, brother, well, how can we come and find you, man? How do we find more about Stephen Kuhn?
Well, I'm sort of in transition right now. Like I said, I took my business offline to online. So I'm still in that transition phase. I speak globally. So I have eight speeches in Egypt this year, which is weird.
Wow.
But I speak all over the planet. Yeah, it's crazy because they are the most receptive people that I've ever spoken to.
Really?
Oh my God, they're amazing.
That's cool.
Amazing entrepreneurs down there. They're just so buckled into that system. They're trying to get out. So anyway, I do regular webinars with them as well, with a group down there. So I teach them online. Stephen-Kuhn, Kuhn.com is my website. That's where you can contact me. Otherwise, Facebook, Stephen Kuhn Official. It's my business page. My private page, I think I'm full, 5,000 friends or something. I keep deleting old friends and putting new veterans in and stuff.
Pretty popular guy.
No, I've been there for a while. I've just been there for a while.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'm popular. I'm more like infamous, I think. So that's that. And then I have a group which I'm very touchy about, because this group is called Stephen Kuhn's Immediate Impact. And I think I have like 50 members since last week. I don't want it to grow that quick because it's very intimate and it's only solution oriented. Anyone who comes in there has to be active. If you're not active 3 days, you're gone. And it's basically like this. Anyone who posts a problem, all 49 other people jump on it and solve it within minutes. If we can't solve it within minutes, we find someone who can and we invite them in, and then they solve it within minutes. And if you post theory, if you post nice ideas and blah, 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 you're going to get deleted, right? So this page is very, very powerful, but it's not a hangout page, and it's not a page where I want to have 1 million members. It's just not. But if you're a business owner and you have valuable input and you can, receive, and you need some valuable input, then drop us a line, Stephen Kuhn's Immediate Impact. So that could be something for some of the guys out there, some of the girls out there as well.
Absolutely.
Other than that, I don't know. Just Facebook is always the best way. I literally live on Facebook now, which is to my, shame, but it's a massive business idea. Oh, and LinkedIn is the next level for anyone who's out there looking for marketing, looking for ideas. It's incredible what you can do on LinkedIn, my friends. Like I told Chris before we started, I made 5 figures today on LinkedIn within 4 hours. Yeah, so it's pretty interesting that no one's onto that yet, really, like they are onto Facebook.
Right. I think they're still trying to understand it. Well, brother, I just wanted to thank you for being the influencer and really just breaking the 4-minute mile for a lot of us ambitious vets that are still trying to figure it out outside the uniform, man. You've really paved the way for a lot of us to follow. Thank you for dropping in some golden grenades. You're an amazing leader. You're an amazing heart-driven leader. And I just want to thank you for who you are, for the world, for the veteran community, and for me. And thank you for just being on the Ambitious Vet today.
What? Absolute pleasure. Seriously. If anybody has any questions or they need any tips or whatever, whatever it is, just drop me a line. I'm pretty accessible. I answer every single mail, and I wish every single person on my friends list birthday every single day. I'm very, like I said, everything we do has to do with people.
100%.
You never know who's standing in front of you.
So there you go, Ambitious Vets. Episode number 5 of The Ambitious Vet with Stephen Kuhn. Now, guys, one of the biggest golden grenades I wrote down, one of many, but this one really resonated with me. And I'm sure you guys got a lot of them as well. But, guys, I want to actually quote Stephen Kuhn inside this interview. He said, "Keep it simple. Spend as little as possible to make as much as possible. Make something happen out of what you already have. Because if you build debt, it only takes away from what you're actually building," unquote. So guys, just be with that. Think about that those couple sentences there. Think about it. If you can make money with what you already have, then there's a need out there. And if it's in a career, if you can make great money with what you already have, imagine what you could do if you created a side hustle or a side passion or create a side show like this. Guys, our only limitations out of the uniform is our mindset. Whatever we buy into from everyday societal norms is what conditions us and kind of how we do things, guys. So biggest thing I took away from that golden grenade is make sure you're keeping it simple on the daily grind out there, Ambitious Vets. And more importantly, figure out where you can be more efficient. Figure out where you can cut the fat off and where you can allocate your funds more efficiently for more organic growth. Organic growth is always way better than paid. Always way better. So with that being said, guys, before I go ahead and let you go, I want to talk about an event that's happening in San Diego, California. For those of you guys who don't know it, I live in San Diego. So I'm actually going to be here at this event as well. It's going to be a weekend warrior retreat. It's going to be coming up April 14th, 15th, and 16th with Triple B Adventures. Now, this is their annual camp out where they're going to retreat to the wilderness for some campfire therapy along with wilderness survival classes, tomahawk throwing, bass fishing, and more. Now, these are good old vets, just like me and you, just looking to get away from the urban jungle, the noise, the reactivity of life, right? Now, guys, I want you guys to go and get your tickets now for a full weekend pass experience and catch me with a special outdoors edition interview with Brady Pozzoli from San Diego School of Survival, where I'm going to be doing a straight up Facebook Live with him and interviewing him around him and how he not only is a nonprofit leader, but how he strives on bringing military brothers and sisters together and what he describes as this campfire therapy, guys. So don't miss that. Now, that's going to be April 14th, 15th, and the 16th. And the website to visit for that's going to be 3mr.vet. 3mr.vet. Now, guys, before I go ahead and let you go, I always got to end it like this, guys. Implement just one golden grenade from this interview today, guys. If you implement just one golden grenade, that's how you get results. That's how you spark the compound effect. And ultimately, that's how you start living that passion-driven life. See, guys, I already know you're warrior made. You don't got to tell me. But are you passion-driven yet? Prove it. Go out there, implement one golden grenade. Tag me on Facebook, tag me on LinkedIn, tag me on Instagram. Let me know what golden grenade you implemented and show me your passion-driven life. Take care.